Hi guys, if you want to start learning Spanish or want to improve your level, you are in the right spot. My name is Andy. I've been a Spanish teacher as a second language. I hold a bachelor degree in linguistics, and I myself a Spanish speaker. Well, a native Spanish speaker. Okay, without further ado, let's start it. First things first, active listening is the first thing you should do. Listen the more you can. Try to incorporate Spanish in your daily routine. I don't care what you listen, but listening, and guess what? More listening. You can listen to news, movies, TV shows, even social media. This will be really useful because you will get familiar with the intonation, sarcasm, how people actually talk in real life settings and non real life settings. Um, you can try anything. For example, I have a student who like practicing yoga, so I always say, hey, why don't you try to start doing those YouTube tutorials from Spanish teachers, or why don't you start watching reels from people who practice yoga but they are also native speakers, or even non-native speakers sometimes make Spanish videos. This is really useful because you will be able to understand different accents and get familiar with a specific vocabulary that will become meaningful for you. Because that's another point. I have many students who learn a bunch of vocabulary, a bunch of things that they will never, never use in their lives. And that's why they feel like they are learning and then they forget it. But it's just because they learn things that are not related to their purposes. And that's something you have to be clear on. What is your purpose? Are you learning Spanish for communicating with your family or for an exam? Is it just a hobby? Think about it and make your own objectives, your own purposes. Something that is achievable, you know? For example, if you want to become fluent to have, I don't know, spend some vacations in Mexico, well, let's try to focus on the vocabulary you will actually use, like drinks or how to order something, how to go shopping. Um, Focus on those things that will become key for you to survive that week or that weekend in Mexico. On the other hand, if you are looking for more professional settings, I don't know, maybe you need to communicate with people all the time. So you not only want to talk professionally, but also to sound friendly with people, ask them about their lives or their families. Well, that's something totally different. You have to work with academic Spanish as well as more casual conversations. Or maybe you just want to talk to your family. Well, let's focusing on casual Spanish. Achievable goals will help you out to understand what kind of material you need to focus on, and then it will be easier for you to learn. Spanish is big. There are a lot of vocabulary that will be totally unnecessarily to learn. Also, for example, I always encourage my students to have a focus. For example, if you're coming to, I don't know, Costa Rica for vacations, you don't need to understand the whole conjugation rule. You can have some basics, but on the other hand, if you're doing this for an exam, well, we need to work on those conjugations and grammar um, regulations and stuff. And you have to know it by heart so you can achieve and pass that exam. Okay, my second advice is actually learn how to read. And I promise you, this will be a great plus in your learning. When you start learning Spanish, if I go back when I was a kid, I remember that it was quite simple. One letter, one sound. There are a couple of exceptions, but most of the time, this rule works really fine. If you learn how to read, it will be easier for you to self study because you will be able to see words and pronounce it correctly. And also, this will help you out to improve your conversational abilities. Why? Because you will be aware on phonics, which is one of the things that most people struggle with. And you have to have a clear idea. Do you want to sound like a native? You want to be closer to them, or do you just want to become fluent? However, in any case, some phonological awareness will help you out. Also, I will say try to make your learning experience fun, you know? If you like reading, why don't you start reading Spanish? I really love to start with children books because those books are made for kids so they can build their vocabulary and grammar. It's not that hard to follow. So I always encourage my students to read kids' materials or start with academic materials. You will notice that there are a lot of academic words that are quite similar between English and Spanish. Also, you know, just try. Try to start making your own Spanish thoughts, sentences since day one. Many students who are quite fluent, they still have a conversation with me, but they are still saying their fillers in English or a couple of words in English. And when I'm talking to them, I realize that they are actually trying to translate most of the time. And what I always encourage you is try to start thinking Spanish. We're always thinking, no matter where you are, if you're in a car, if you're in your job, you're always thinking, making comments in your own mindset. Try to start to do that in Spanish. Not something really sophisticated, of course, but maybe you're walking in the street and you see a cute dog and you can think, "Que perro tan bonito." What a beautiful dog! Oh, how adorable it is! And try to do that. Try to start thinking, making sentences with the vocabulary you already know. Because when we are talking, when I'm talking Spanish, I'm never trying to translate it. You know, it's just natural, and that's what you have to try to do. Try to be natural. Try to incorporate it in your head instead of trying to translate. Because if you start translating, it's okay. I always translate a couple of words and expression during my classes. Not all the time, but it's very important sometimes and needed. So I encourage my students to not only translate, because sometimes a word can perfectly be translated, but in other contexts it may have another meaning. So those are my best advices for you: active listening, phonemic awareness, try to incorporate Spanish in your daily routine, listen to music, watch news, I don't care, but just try to practice and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Practice and mistakes will help you to improve your Spanish. So you can look for a Spanish learners community, or maybe communities of people that speak Spanish in a specific purpose, like a Facebook group for people who practice yoga. But you notice that most of people there are speaking Spanish, so why not to try? Just look for a tutor. That will be really good. Well, guys, it's time to say bye. But I hope this video is useful for you and give you a clear idea on how to start and how to do it. If you have any question, please let us know in the comments. And see you next time. Hasta pronto.